Welcome first-time listeners and returners to the Sports Deli, where we believe that less is more. If you are a returner and you have already heard the intro, please feel free to fast forward to the 4-minute and 35-second mark of the podcast. LESS stands for leadership, equality, empowerment, empathy, education, social injustice, suicide prevention, sports, and solutions. We talk a lot about white privilege. We want to mobilize and pay it forward. The Sports Deli is sponsored by SportRx. You can give them a call at 888-831-5817 or find them online at sportrx.com. SportRx is the leader in sport prescription eyewear. They are used by the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, and Major League Baseball players. People all over the world use SportRx. You can give them a buzz again at 888-831-5817 or find them online at sportrx.com. Don't forget to enter the code DELI10 at checkout for your special 10% discount. And now a little bit about your two co-hosts, Dr. J and myself, Hootie Hoot. Dr. J hails to us from Maryland. He lives in New York. He went to Bethesda Chevy Chase High School in Maryland. He's a sports junkie. He loves his Washington football teams. He used to brag in college when we were roommates about how the Washington football team used to have a 41-year waiting list. They don't anymore. He loves politics. His dad was a civil rights lawyer. His mom worked for the government. He's working on his EDD in higher education. He's got his master's degree from the University of South Carolina. He once won third place as a freshman at the University of Kentucky in a Rick Pitino lookalike contest. He's been photographed with Dick Vitale, Jimmy V, Rick Pitino, the Tark, and Coach Spurrier. He loves golf. He's played in Scotland, Mexico, Spain, the United States, and he's played Torrey Pines, the Ocean Course, Pebble Beach, and Doral. He loves the All-American at Waffle House and will, once the pandemic is over, commandeer a booth at night at Waffle House and be broadcasting live right here in the Sports Deli. As for myself, Hootie Hoot, I'm from Detroit. I went to Oak Park High School. I love my Detroit teams. Loved my friends growing up on Leslie. I played 5 sports in high school. I got cut 3 times, once in middle school, high school, and in college, and the next year I made the team every single time because I was motivated and so mad that I got cut the previous year. I played JV on the basketball and baseball teams as a junior, but I didn't care because I just wanted to play, and then the next year as a senior, I made the varsity in both baseball and basketball. I give a lot of thanks and big credit and kudos to my youth coaches, Coach Clairfelt, Mr. Emanuel, Richard Maltz, Jeff Feig, Mr. Sternberg, Coach Golding, all played huge parts in my upbringing and my success. And I played 4 years of college basketball and 1 year of intercollegiate tennis. I played on the first team in the history of Goucher College in the sport of basketball. I was the first MVP in the history of the men's basketball program. I still hold a record where I made 5 out of 6 three-pointers in a game, good for 83%, a single game high, still some 30-plus years later. I went to Frostburg State and learned under the tutelage and mentorship of Oscar Lewis, a phenomenal coach. I've coached men's and women's college basketball for 23 years. I've sent dozens of players to the NCAA and NAIA levels, including 11 to the Division I level. I currently coach at the Preuss School in San Diego. It's a low-income first-generation high school in the sport of girls basketball. I have a beautiful, amazing, incredible daughter. I'm a life coach. My mom has been an inspiration to me and a huge support system during all my ups and downs in my life. Unlike John, I will not be commandeering a booth at the Waffle House once the pandemic is over, but at my favorite restaurant, the Crab Hut, right here in San Diego. And now back to the Sports Deli.
That's cool.
We're
man.
both baseball fanatics, but he's the guy that would recognize Shea Hillenbrand from the back of his head from 3/4 of a mile away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's that guy. Yeah. What's the number 1 mean?
Elite One Performance. Yeah, so it's a company that I have.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I love the logo as the business starts to grow. Elite One Performance, right? It's E, and then you have parentheses around the number one, which is really cool. So the parentheses serve as the L and the T in the word elite, and then you have an E at the end. So you have basically E, parentheses with the number one in the middle, and then E at the end. So Elite One Performance. Totally cool logo, man. Like, literally love it. On the 17th day of Black History Month, we are joined by Shea Hillenbrand from Mesa, Arizona. Shea played for 6 different Major League Baseball teams over a 7-year period and was a 2-time All-Star as a third baseman. He made his debut with the Boston Red Sox in 2001, finished his career with the Dodgers in '07 after batting over 300 different times with 3 different teams. He once hit a game-winning home run off Hall of Famer Mariano Rivera of the New York Yankees, and in another instance hit 3 home runs in 3 consecutive innings. He spent 5 years in the minors before making it to the show, and him and his wife have appeared on HGTV's House Hunters International and a year later on House Hunters. He loves horses and animals and kids. He's a Leo and shares a birthday with Triple H, A-Rod, and Jordan Spieth. He went from having $20 million in the bank to being broke and living in his van 5 years later. He took 15 sleeping pills, 8 ibuprofen, and a lot of alcohol one night and tried to end it all. Leos, astrologically speaking, like Shea, tend to be warm, passionate, and dynamic. Shea delights in opportunities to let his charismatic and inclusive personality shine. And like a lion, Shea is strong, brave, and ready to dominate everything that he sets out to do. He adores his wife and kids and loves to educate people on how to better understand their identities, how to navigate life, and learn from your mistakes. He's a testament to the old adage that it's never too late to reinvent yourself and pay it forward. He's very active on social media, including Clubhouse, where he dedicates a lot of time in different rooms and clubs, inspiring and educating people on a variety of issues from mental health, leadership, and how to have the right mindset on and off the field. His 1999 Bowman rookie number 304 card autographed is currently going online for $24.99. He left a potential $50 million on the table and walked away from the game. His story, Against All Odds, the Shea Hillenbrand story, won an Emmy in 2018. He believes Oprah said it best when she said, "You are in charge of filling yourself up and keeping yourself full." Once baseball ended, it was time for him to finally find out who he really was. You can find him on Instagram at Shea is SHEA underscore Hillenbrand, just like it sounds with 2 L's, Hillenbrand, where he has nearly 17,000 followers, or online in a number of different places, but in particular at SheaHillenbrandInternational.com. Shea, welcome to the Sports Deli, brother.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. That's a great intro, man. There's things in there I didn't even know.
Like the baseball card?
Yeah, the baseball card. I can't believe that. And then I knew I shared a birthday with A-Rod, but I didn't know about Triple H. That's kind of cool.
And Jordan Spieth, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Where are
I'm
you
in
at?
I'm in San Diego. It's funny. They're tearing the stadium down, and it's just, the old Qualcomm, and it's like
Yeah.
they tore down Tiger Stadium, which is where I'm from, and just to see the pictures and know the history there, like, growing up and going into Tiger Stadium with my dad, and like sitting in the bleachers in center field 440 feet away from home plate, right? Like, and to watch this one now, just it's like 3 quarters gone. You just see a
Yeah.
quarter of it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I played in that stadium. I enjoyed it there. I always did good there.
Yeah, it was a good place to watch a game. San Diego is obviously, it's a beautiful city, so it's
Yeah.
paradise.
So what do you do other than this?
Well, I'm a professional. I played baseball in high school. I played a little independent ball for a summer, and then I thought I was going to play baseball in college, to be honest with you. And then I had a guy that used to coach at UCLA, and he was the junior college coach out here, and he decided to go in a different direction. So, best thing that ever happened to me. And then I played college basketball and college tennis, and so now I'm a professional skills trainer for basketball and teach part time at a community college out here, and I'm a life
Cool, man.
coach. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so it's been fun. I started this just, for kicks, and really it's turned into a lot of leadership, social injustice, talking a lot about white privilege, and bringing people on to tell their stories like you. There's nobody that we've had that's had quite a story like you. I can tell you. I mean, Bruce Maxwell was great.
Yeah, so I guess Bruce was good about the social injustice.
He was definitely good about that. But he hit a real low too. And he almost ended it all. So my dad committed suicide when I was 9. So it's just a subject
How do you
that's.
process through that as a kid?
Well, my mom told me that I sort of a part of me died that day,
Yeah,
and you know, uh, sports saved me. Played 5 sports in high school. Um, I got cut 3 times too, which taught me a lot about life and perseverance and how to grind.
yeah,
And but nothing was ever the same after that. There's always that void. You can't. But my personality type, I think that matters with people. When I'm a life coach, I talk about that and how that factors into how you choose to process information and build, sort of from the inside out, like you've talked about, which we'll talk about today.
yeah.
Um,
Cool, man.
so yeah, it's been an interesting journey. My daughter's 10, and she's full of life, and so I'm just trying to do everything to leave her with some great memories
Yeah.
and do it for her. So I have a dream. I coached college basketball for 23 years. So I coached men 15, and this is my 14th year on the women's side. And I coach at a low income first generation high school. So it's arguably the best job I've ever had, even though my skill set is more geared towards college. My best friend is an assistant coach at Kansas State with the women's basketball program, and I just know that's where my heart is, to coach college ball one more time before it's all said and done.
That's cool, man. Yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed.
You would know all that by looking at you. You know what I mean?
What do I look like? A soccer player?
Somebody that's ready to rip into people.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, I'll take it as a compliment. So, how's your family been during this pandemic? It's going on a year. It's crazy.
Bro, we live in Arizona. There's no pandemic here. I don't know if you
Right.
watch the news, man, but I think we were closed down for 2 weeks. So like at the very beginning, and then we like stored up on steaks. We had just moved into our house. My wife and I both work from home, so we're like, let's just do projects around the house, and then the kids were at home, and like it's crazy what happens in this one little pocket in Arizona. Like we haven't been nothing's really happened.
It's
Only thing
crazy.
different now is we got to wear a mask when we go into a restaurant. So
Totally.
uh, everything's been good.
Yeah, that's good. Everyone's healthy and finding their way. So that's good. How the kids been?
Very good. Very good. I got a 16-year-old now, 2 14-year-olds, 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old, like the Brady Bunch. So we're doing good. It's funny because you're in the teenage phase now, and it's like
Oh
I try to
God.
talk to my sons, and they're like, talk back to you. I'm like, really, bro? Like, what do you think right now, man? I'll knock you in the head. Whack 'em all.
Exactly. It's so funny. We just had Doug Gottlieb on Monday, and he was talking about his kid talking shit to him. Like, Dad, how come you didn't make it to the NBA? Like, you went overseas and played in like 7 countries. Like, what's wrong with you? He's like, do you know how hard it is to make it to the NBA? It's like
Yeah.
talking shit and stuff. So it's funny. Yeah, the kids. My daughter's 10, like I said, and so she, I can't do anything right as a dad.
You know how that
So
is, right? Your kids see you in a different perspective than everybody else because they get the inner
totally.
parts of you. So I love it. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. Well, you're inspiring a lot of kids, and it's funny we're on that topic. So, speaking of kids, it was right around about the age when where your kids are right now, where you moved when you were a kid, and you created a narrative for yourself that really impacted you, and the accumulation is what I talk about a lot on this show. And so you were creating this narrative when you moved from California, right, with your dad. And as like we said in the beginning, we both have something in common in terms of mental health and depression and suicide, and how that sort of started this whole thing.
At 14 years old, when we moved from Southern California to the hot desert of Arizona, I was like, oh my gosh, man, this is crazy. So when my dad walked in my room one day, he said, I'm going to uproot our family. We're going to move out here. It's kind of a generational thing that we went through as a family. As a dad, he struggled with his parents and has his own challenges and whatnot. But my dad was never abusive, was never a bad dad. It just, he was like kind of like a white knuckler. He was just like, it just blew up all the time. And I was super sensitive. I
Wow.
was super competitive. I was super like, didn't know how to navigate that space. So, the
Yeah.
stories I'd tell myself, especially that day when my dad walked into my room, was that I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. And my dad doesn't love me. Because how could he
Yeah.
uproot me from my community of friends and sports in SoCal and move out to the desert of Arizona? I was like, oh my gosh, this is like right before my high school years. And what I want to
Wow.
make very clear is that I'm sensitive to everybody's story, and everybody's story is different. If you really peel back the layers of the onion of my story's not that bad. But I want to make very clear too that your story that you tell yourself, that you formulate, the narrative that you create is your truth. That's how you're going to operate. So, regardless of what anybody does, I have two older brothers that went through similar situations, and they didn't go through what I went through because they interpreted and communicated those situations on their own terms. So, when I reluctantly left my friends from Southern California, moved to Arizona, what I did is decided to become an overachiever through athletics. In high school, became the number one soccer player in the state of Arizona, and
Wow.
then didn't have anywhere to play in junior college or anywhere after high school. But my childhood dream was to play Major League Baseball. So growing up in LA area, I diehard Dodger fan, always sit at the top deck of the stadium, season tickets, and never really cared about the players. But I always said I'm going to be on that field someday. So I walked on a local junior college, made the team because of my work ethic. I was the first guy there, last guy to leave. I started to create an obsession for the sport. But when you create an obsession for the sport, it needs to be, or whatever you do, it needs to be a healthy obsession. And mine wasn't healthy. So my why that was driving me to the top every step I went
Mm.
was an unhealthy why. And that was to fill that void inside myself that I just didn't know how to function because I really didn't like myself. And I didn't know how to like other people and communicate with other people because I was always one of the best. I was like the best in elementary school, one of the best in junior high, actually the best in junior high, one of the best in high school, best in junior college, best in the minor leagues, best in the major leagues. And when you're in that situation like that, you really are treated differently. You're like you operate from a different space and pretty much everybody else, and you can get away with stuff. I could always cover that up with how I performed on the field. So getting drafted by the Boston Red Sox out of junior college, I played 5 years in the minor leagues, like you said in the intro. Player of the year, 3 of the 5 years. I just rocked it. I was like, I was obsessed. I was like, I don't know what you're doing. I'm going to the show. There's no other option. Not even like a plan A and a half or A minus. People talk about plan B.
Right.
There's nothing else. But what happens is when you get in that situation and you don't know who you are at the core, and you get into a high pressure situation, and when that situation's kind of like alluring, I mean, playing for these teams back here, I'd rather have that identity than the identity I carried myself and like formulated inside myself because I didn't really like who I was and I carried pain from the stories. I started playing the pain driven game. So I attached my identity to a professional baseball player because that's way more exciting. That's way more advantageous, way more shinier than who I was at the core. And it just sucked, man. And when you do that, you end up taking the identity of who you are at that level of professionalism. And then you use that identity of, hey, I'm a professional baseball player. I play for the Boston Red Sox. You use that to cover up and mask that crap inside yourself, man. So after 5 years in the minor leagues, I got my chance to play Major League Baseball. Second year in the big leagues as an all-star, starting third baseman for the Red Sox. In the all-star game, A-Rod, same birthday, right next to me playing shortstop. Might be the first two guys in the big league history to play next to each other with the same birthday, although he made $500 million and I didn't.
That's right.
But I just rocked it, man. I took it to the next level. I did everything I could. I learned how to peak performance. I knew how to high performance. I knew how to operate and perform under pressure, navigate failure, all that stuff. And I trained myself to the T. I swung a baseball bat like a million times, man. Like seriously, if you take a step back and like analyze that, that's insane, man. I take 60,000 swings in the offseason, probably 100,000 swings during the season, but
Mhm.
I was attaching my identity to that. I was attaching every part of me to that. And what sucks about baseball, there's a lot of failure. And if you attach your identity to something that's got a lot of failure, what's going to happen for there? You're going to live and die every single day on the baseball field. And it just sucked. So I took that ultimate emotional roller coaster through my career, and it just wore me the heck out, man. So I got traded from the Red Sox to, I don't even know why I'm saying this, but I think I can. I got traded from the Red Sox to the to the Diamondbacks, and I say explicitives to Theo Epstein on the radio, all over the front page of the Boston Globe. Shea Hillenbrand calls Theo Epstein this, and this, and I'm not going to go there because it's offensive to other people. I'm not that way anymore. And then, I got in a fight with the manager in the clubhouse in Toronto. You could Google that. You could see all that stuff. And all the time it's like, that's my dad. That's my dad. That's my dad. That's my dad. Authoritative figure. You guys aren't doing the right thing. I'm trying to stand up for the truth, but I don't have a voice. So all this crap just came out of me, So after 7 years in the major leagues, the prime of my career, I was holding my firstborn son in my arms. He's about 3 years old, a little bit under that. And, man, I was trying to have a father-son moment because that's all I ever wanted to do is be a dad. I have 3 adopted children, and he's adopted. And, man, I just trying to show him my pure agape love, just on the couch, right before I'm going to spring training, my 8th year. And I couldn't share it with him. All I can connect to is with that pain and that hurt and that shame and that guilt for how I acted my whole flipping life. And through that, I had become numb. When you get to that space, it makes you numb to what you do. I'm numb to everybody around me. And I make a decision just with my son in my arms, not talking to my wife, not talking to my agent, not talking to my parents. I quit. I walked away. I walked away from that one childhood dream I worked so hard for my whole life. I was the 1% of the 1% of the 1% of the world, in the prime of my career on top of the world. And on the outside, everybody's like, oh my gosh, Shea Hillenbrand's a god. Oh my gosh, man. Like Shea's amazing. Like little girls in the stands, will you marry me, Shea? Signs, autograph signings, $10,000 an hour. And girls that come to the table crying and shaking just because they got to meet me. How do you process that, brother? When you're just you just pain inside and you freaking hate yourself. You just put walls up and you disconnect, and like everything around you is just like, and I'm cashing $1 million checks and I'm just rocking it. Private jets, mansions, everything. And I'm like, the first word out of my mouth when I played for the Angels, and when I live in a $4 million house in the OC, is like the F word, this fuck. And my wife's like, what's wrong? I said, you'll never understand. You don't get it. You don't understand it. So in the prime of my career, I walked away and I bought a zoo. So I think I might be the first Major League Baseball player in history to walk away from Major League Baseball. I left $50 million in potential earnings on the table to buy a zoo. So I bought a zoo and had 300 farm and exotic animals: camels, kangaroos, llamas, alpacas, monkeys, raccoons, zebras, everything on the moon. I was like Steve Irwin, brother. I was a rock star, dude. Everybody loved me for that farm. That was my identity now, was that farm. I own this place and not the 2-time All-Star in the Major Leagues, because Major League Baseball didn't do it. The glory didn't do it. The fame didn't do it. All that money didn't do it. Playing in front of millions of people on a nightly basis did not feel and give me what I needed, because I was trying to get approval from my father. So through that process of owning the zoo, what happened was, like, I'm bound to get his approval now because he owned businesses. He was an entrepreneur. And here I'm owning 3 businesses, and that didn't do it. And I lost everything. I lost my family. I lost my farm. I lost my money. I lost my kids. I lost everything in my life. And I found myself shortly after that on the floor of a van. And 8 years ago, I was living in a van down by the river. And man, it was crazy because I was scrounging up change out of my cup holder in my van just to feed my kids Little Caesars pizza. After I used to make $340,000 every 2 weeks after taxes. This is just for context. I don't care about anything else. I just want to make like context of how I was navigating and how I was, working through my life. Right. So here lies a guy that so many envy. And after overdosing on the drugs and alcohol, the soul is just leaving the top of my head, man. Like I'm just emotionless by myself, after everything I went through, after being a celebrity, all this stuff. Here I am. It led me to be by myself, and the soul's leaving the top of my head, and I'm clinging on to my last breath. And I was one breath away. And the thoughts going through my mind are, you're a failure, man. You're a loser. You lost everything. You just suck. You're stupid. You've lost everything. Like all these toxic thoughts going through my mind. What kind of dad would do this to his kids, man? What would your parents think if you left this world today? And my answer to that was, and this is where the kicker is, guys. My answer to that was, I don't know. I'm nothing if I don't have baseball. And I was tired of fighting that pain-driven game because my identity had become baseball, and I felt like I died after I left that game because I was nothing outside of that, because I had no clue who I was. And I just let go. I don't know if I died, if I fell asleep. But by the grace of God, shortly after that, he brought my wife, Kristen, into my life. I'd been praying for 2 years for God to bring someone into my life, a woman to be able to see and help me vulnerable. Like if you came to me and said, dude, I want to help you because I know you're a life coach, I wouldn't let you help me, man. I wouldn't let anybody help me, my parents, my friends, my brothers, no one, because no one gets it. But I knew my one shot, my one chance to reclaim that breath I almost lost was to have a wife, I have a woman, to become one, to be vulnerable enough to allow them to come in. And that was some scary stuff, bro. It was so hard to go through that. But she saved me, man. She gave me a shot. She gave me accountability. She supported me. The first person in my life, other than my parents, to say, I love you unconditionally and I believe in you. Imagine that at 41 years old. I love you and I believe in you unconditionally after I've been through everything that I've been through. It's crazy. So with that being said, I recreated a new identity. I've just recreated a whole new belief system, a whole new Shea Hillenbrand. I tapped into who I'm supposed to be. And when you connect with your true identity to the core, what happens, you discover gifts and talents you never knew you had. I never knew this was in me, man. Like this is the last thing I thought I'd be doing. If you took I'm glad a camera didn't follow me. It would have been really freaking entertaining, but I'm glad a camera didn't follow me when I played. Be like, how is that guy this guy now?
Right.
It's identity, connection at the core, understanding what led you to where you are now, and then putting that in perspective and changing that perception of yourself and those situations. You can actually rewrite history. You can't rewrite the actions that happen, the experiences, but you can rewrite the perception by understanding, hey, my dad loved me the very best he could. My dad loved me and did things that the challenges I didn't know about that he had to go through. And it just switches that anger and that hurt and that pain and that disgust and all that stuff. It switches it to empathy. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, wonder what he was going through. And he had to live with that his whole life. At 75 years old, he passed away. He had to live with that crap that I live with. He had to live with it at 5 years old. Like crazy what he had to go through. So it's pretty cool to be in this spot. I just want to use my voice and my story and my gifts and talents to go out there and just impact the world without how many other people I can help, man. I've done the success. Now I'm on to significance of just making an impact.
What an incredible first segment with Shea Hillenbrand, former Major League Baseball player, and now he will share with us some of the things that he's doing now to help pay it forward after he has reinvented himself once he retired from the game he loved growing up, right here in the Sports Deli with Hootie Hoot. Well, there's a lot of differences between you and me, obviously, but the thing that you're doing that's so inspiring is a lot of guys don't use their platform, even if they don't have to go through the things that you've been through. And so there's nothing that I could ever do that will ever compare to someone like you who's able to relate on so many different levels. I can relate on maybe 1/10 of what you're talking about, but it's so inspiring and admirable, that you're not only healing, right? Because that doesn't happen overnight, right? You told
No.
the story just now like it happened overnight, like it was part of your movie, that people can go online and watch, your story. But it takes time. So, like for me, for example, so I had like 10 out of 10 anxiety about 20 years ago. I'd be in the cucumber garden and all of a sudden I would feel like I'm paralyzed. Like I literally couldn't move. Like I had a ton of bricks on my shoulders. And so I started going to therapy. And after 2 years, by just paying attention and being a part of the process, and like you always talk about now, figuring out who you were, what your identity is, you know, uh, paying attention to your inner voice, your compass, and not getting caught up in the hype, so to speak. And eventually it went away. And then you felt that shift, right? Same thing as you. You feel that shift. And so when my dad committed suicide, I guess I wanted to give back my whole life, just like you were sort of overcompensating, and taking on a part of your dad's personality. And now so there's a duality to all of this, which is, so interesting to me. And so, but tell everyone how that process happened. Were there some days where you were like someone who's an alcoholic and they just sort of like, oh no, I got to take a drink again. I don't think I can go through with this. Like how was that transformation process for you, and how long did it really take for you to be comfortable in your own skin?
It took, that's a great question because I haven't been asked that question before. And that's a very integral part of understanding this because it didn't happen overnight. Like when I left baseball and went through what I went through, like I went on a 12-year deep dive of like self-discovery and self like self-help and like life stuff, like Tony Robbins and Les Brown and like all these guys, Zig Ziglar, and like just trying to figure out like what's the purpose, because I did it. Like I did what we thought we were supposed to do when we were a kid. Follow your dreams, dream big, follow your dreams, accomplish your dreams. When I grow up, I want a mansion, I want money, I want to live, be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a professional athlete. Like I did it. And it's crazy to understand that through that process. But what's helped for me, like there's so many days. I mean, even when you're going to the top, like everybody normally, like on my way to the top to become a superstar athlete, like I wanted to give up. So like there's something in you that's like, you just got to keep going. So it's one of those things like you have to have a compelling vision of the future, because you're always trying to run away from pain and seek pleasure. So what happens is when you have this pain inside you and you have this don't know who you are, you go to these quick fixes for the dopamine release to mask the pain. So it could be pornography, it could be sex, it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be gambling. And for most people, it's food to numb themselves, because you eat so much. And I'm hungry right now, man. After this, I'm gonna go and eat some lasagna. But you eat so much that all the blood goes to your stomach, and then like you just forget about all your pain. So the thing is like I sat parked for 5 years, bro. Like I had enough money. I was like, I don't want to do anything. I sat parked and felt bad for myself. Then when you do that, your mind becomes even more toxic. Then you play the victim role. And then you play the victim role because you want to feel love and connection with people, right? So poor me, and people like, poor you, Shea. I can't believe what you went through. You had this and that and whatever. And all of a sudden you can't stay there, because if you stay there too long, what happens from there, you go into depression. I don't want to go to depression, man, because if I go to depression, I'm going to freaking like put a pistol in my mouth. So then I'd snap out of that and you'll go to anger and frustration and mad. And that'd be the adrenaline rush. So it'd be like a Super 8 cycle of like sadness and sorrow. And then boom, anger, frustration, and sadness. And it's like, dude, this isn't me, And then my wife, she's like, what the hell's wrong with you? You're like a hypocrite, dude. You say all this stuff and you do this. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just trying to be me. But the thing is like, the couple things that help me is like I have a 5-tool player profile system. Is like, okay, I identify yourself at the core. Like who are you? And I never really sat down and said, who am I? Because it's like, I'm Shea Hillenbrand, Major League Baseball player, hit a game winner off Mariano, 3 home runs in 1 game. Like that's like, how shallow is that, man? That's stupid. And then from there, you like figure out your why. Like what do I want to do? Like what's my purpose? And your why's got to be greater than you. It has to be an impact humanity. And then from there, like, how are you communicating yourself? When you go through these experiences, how are you interpreting and communicating? It has to be edifying. How am I communicating when I'm failing? Am I getting up every day? That story that I'm telling myself, is it like, you're a loser, see, you're going to stuck here, you got to be mediocrity, complacency? Right there is where most people stick, because they're not aware of that story that they're telling themselves every single day, that narrative, that you can change that. The brain's malleable, but you got to be aware of it, of what's going on. And then from there, guys, is like, I was living on a couch in subsidized living in the ghetto, and like cock and fested, like with my kids. There's a friend's house, and like, man, like now I became a victim of that environment. I started becoming that environment because I felt bad for myself, and like here I am immersed into this crazy environment of like a poverty mindset, right? And then from there, it's just like I'm eating Taco Bell, I'm eating Sonic, I'm going through the drive-through. I'm like, okay, let's go to numb that pain. Then I blew it up. Like, it's funny because my wife tells everybody I was fat, bald, and homeless when she met me. And it's just, it's crazy, like how you get. So it's like, you have to turn your shoulds into must. I know I should work out. I know I should have a morning routine. I know I should spend more time with my kids. I know I should. So many people should all over themselves. So what happens is you got to turn those should. I must do this. You don't give yourself an option. I must do this. Then you start working out, because working out is the cheapest therapy. So many people don't understand that. Like, work out, get your body moving, get those endorphins, because the mind and the body's connected. You got to get those going. Start working out, even if it's just walking, even if it's just running, whatever that is. Get off the couch, go work out. And you have to elevate your standards. That's the biggest thing I did. I elevated my standards. I said, I'm not going to settle for this anymore. I need to elevate myself to expect more out of myself. And once those standards were raised, then my rituals, then my routines changed. You know what I mean? Like the habits, like my rituals were just like garbage, man. Then I started clicking back into it, getting a systematic mindset, and just putting one step in front of the other. So if I give any advice to anybody, just put one step in front of the other, right, left, right, left. Progression is the key to happiness. A man without a vision will perish, right? So you just got to keep moving, just get going and going forward. And once you get going, your mind will start getting creative. You start getting out of that funk, and now you can bust through those limited beliefs, and you just keep elevating yourself and keep moving to be the one.
So a lot of things came through my head when you were talking, and I wrote a bunch of notes down. But it reminds me of when a pitcher's not finding the plate, right? They could throw to the black any day of the week, and when you get into a game, so the first trip to the mound is usually the pitching coach, right? And so everybody's at the mound. The American League and National League have different rules in terms of how many people can come to the mound. But everybody that comes to the mound brings a different piece to that puzzle, right? Most of the guys are going to be silent. They're going to be like, "You got this, man," or whatever, right? Just to sort of pick the pitcher up and be like, "Hey, you've been there a million times, man. Just throw. We got your back, right?" I'm at the hot corner. The other guys are like, "Hey, man, just let them put it in play. We got your back." And so, who had your back? Like besides your wife, was it a life coach? Did you just do it on your own? Did you just go to bookstores and read? That's because you didn't.
Audible saved my life.
Audible.
Well, that's my wife too, right
Interesting.
there. Audible. I probably got 300 books. I go through a
That's
book a
crazy.
week. I'll listen to a book probably 5 times in a row, and
Wow.
on to the next one, on to the next one. You have to pour the good in. You
Totally.
have to change the narrative. You have to override it with the good. See, the thing is where I struggle with, and I'm very sensitive. People are like, you got to be positive. You got to be positive. Well, some days I just want to freaking like do nothing, man.
Right.
So it's like you pour the good in, you get the good in, you override it. Where what happens with most people is like they make it worse than what it is. So you got to embrace the suck, is what I call it. You have to
Yeah.
embrace the suck. Okay, today sucks. I got fired. I got laid off. COVID hit. I got a family member that's sick. Something happened. That sucks. You can't say positive. Oh, it's all going to be good.
Right.
Lord willing, this and that.
Right.
No, you can't do that. Your mind doesn't work that way. Your mind knows it sucks. So a thought creates an emotion or a feeling. And then from there, that emotion or feeling will create an action or the lack thereof of an action with a lot of the negative emotions that people experience. So you just have to embrace the suck. And that's where it is. And for successful people, like okay, you're at the mound right now and you hit, okay, this sucks. You can't, it's all good, you got it. Like he's telling himself it sucks. So you go from the heart where intuition operates to the head and get analytical. And once you get there, you can't function, man. It
Right.
doesn't operate in that space. So what
Yeah.
happens is when you embrace the suck, dude, this sucks. Let yourself experience that suck
Right.
because that's just part of life. And those feelings that you get when it sucks are like warning signs. They're not bad. They're feelings that the emotions that those emotions you get are warning signs, let you know, okay, something's going on here. But what happens is human beings, when it sucks, we just let that spiral and spiral and spiral. Yeah, it sucks. I'm worse. I suck. I'm
Well, then
fat.
you
Family.
press, right? You
It,
press and you press, it makes it worse.
it just goes out of control and it
Out of
lingers.
control.
So
Yeah.
I allow myself to suck. Like if I get pissed off, I get frustrated, I'm passionate. We all experience that stuff. But I used to be like with my wife. Oh my gosh, man, when we first met, I don't even know how she stuck with me. Like it's a godsend, man. Like there would be like days I'd be pissed off. And then it'd go down to a full day I'd be pissed off just from a disagreement. Not even like just like in my mind, I don't agree with that. I don't understand that. So I would emotionally, because my emotional EQ, emotional quotient was way
Yeah.
low. So it would go. So now I'm like down to like maybe a minute, 90 seconds, where it's like, okay, this is what it is. Now you got to do stuff to get out of it. Okay, both of you could be right. So now you walk yourself through that. And now, because it's going to steal your energy, man, right? So I'm a super passionate guy. You can see the high level energy. So
Yeah.
I
It'll
used to
suck the
waste
life
so
out of
much
you.
energy on the negative, and it would just wear me out all the time, man.
So there was an awareness. There was a light that went on. Whatever um, made that light go on. There's multiple reasons, but hitting rock bottom, and then you started to not necessarily unlearn, because some people have to unlearn. They and maybe you did a little with recognizing what happened with your dad and coming to terms with some of those things. And summing it up, maybe it's just about forgiveness. But then what you did was you filled and replaced, and it drowned out, all those negative feelings and thoughts. And eventually, even though it might creep back in once in a while, now the majority of your thoughts are positive, are selflessness, are acceptance. It is where you're comfortable in your own skin. And I think it's remarkable that that transformation, right? Because now your kids see that you've broken the cycle, which is really the most important thing, that your kids don't see you the same way that you saw your dad. And now I'm sure that even though it's tough just raising teenagers, right? But I think, just as an educated guess, they see you and they notice, even if they don't understand it right now, they will later, your transformation and how proud they are of you after baseball.
Absolutely. And it's funny you say that. They'll notice it later. And I tell my kids that. And I struggled too because they were very young when I was playing.
Mhm,
Had a full time nanny, had their mom, my wife at the time, and I would
mhm,
get up in the middle of the night and feed them. The nanny wouldn't do it.
mhm.
My ex wife wouldn't do it. All that. So I would do it. And it's just like,
Wow.
I'm just so like that high level, high performance mindset of just like learning how to throttle that at times, learning how to just let things be and not have to be in control because I know the formula to success. I know how to get to the top and I know what it takes. Just learning how to let things be in the moment. I could never be in the moment. I could never sit still, quiet with myself, ever, ever, ever. At nighttime, I had
Never good enough.
I always had these fans going on to drown out the noise and all those voices and
Mhm.
just all this stuff, man. So getting to the point of being able to sit still, and then the biggest thing like that, what I wanted to share with you with my kids, and this might relate and help other people out, which helped me a tremendous amount, is taking accountability for my actions. So when I mess up, or when I did mess up, I sit my kids down and say, you know what, I messed up. I am so sorry. Daddy didn't do the right thing right there, and kind of like because they know how I am, and I just want to let you know it's not because of you, it's because of me. So I don't want you to think that, but I want you to understand that I'm sorry and I love you and I'm super proud of you because I never received that. Like my dad was on his deathbed and he was in the hospital. I said, Dad, I love you, and he said, thank you. And it's sad to see that a 75-year-old man on his deathbed can't even say, I love you too, son, or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel bad for that. I have empathy for that. So what's
Mhm.
liberated me and what's helped me have regain my power back is just take accountability. Take
Mhm.
accountability for what I've done, who I am, and that helps you navigate the space. I can't control how you're going to be, right? So if I could, put the blame or put whatever or any responsibilities on myself that I can, then I could do something about that and then just keep going and moving forward.
What an amazing transformation, bro. Like for real. Like
Dude, I was an a-hole in the clubhouse, dude. Yeah, I got on the look, Google me. It says like
oh,
can't stand the clubhouse
I
and like
have,
do
trust me.
not want and all this stuff. And it's like it's crazy. So that's my biggest accomplishment, right? Is being able
Yeah.
to live with that. And what happens, excuse me, what happens is that when I left baseball, I hated who I was. I hated that character more than anybody else. So fans are saying, "Oh, you're the cancer and you're this." Like, could you
Right.
imagine when I told myself and how much like I hated who I was? So I try to disconnect from that. I try to like not understand what the intangibles were to allow me to have success. So what I did is like I tried to become a people pleaser. I tried to please everybody to try to prove to them that I'm not that type of guy that you think I was or I was when I damaged relationships or I did these things or that things and became that cancer type of personality or character traits. So then I became the biggest wuss ever. Like it's just like, dude, you're a puss. And it's like just like, and I'm like, what do I do, man? So it's like sitting down and like kind of like processing. So what I did is I reverse engineered everything. I'm like, dude, like I acted this way. Why did I act this way? Well, your beliefs and your values drive what you do. And like, well, oh, okay, let's check your beliefs and values, Shay. Like I had no values and I believed I was going to play baseball. Like that's the craziest thing. I didn't have any core values. And that's how you operate. That's your operating system and your blueprint, how you create from a young kid. I didn't have any values. And I believed I was going to be the best. So I would do anything to be the best. I didn't care if you're my best friend, my dad, or whoever, teammate, dude. I'll stomp over you. I'll push you out of the way. I'll knock you down. I'll run you over with a car. Like that's just sick. That's like toxic. But that's what a lot of high performing CEOs, execs,
Mhm.
businessmen. That's what they do because it's like that's my identity. The
Well,
identity of that is way more alluring and shiny than what I think of myself. So I'm
yes.
not going to address anything because that's a sign of weakness. That's a sign of being a
Yes.
wuss. If I say, you know what, I need help. Like that's the hardest thing I had to do in my life is sit there and say, I need help because I helped everybody. I gave away over $1 million. I was treated like a god, and it's crazy what
Well,
happened.
it's great from just your own evolution and your own need to heal, but it's important for the greater good too, not just helping kids specifically with your foundations and things like this, and other people, not just kids, but there's less taboo now. You know, Kevin Love came out in the NBA, the WNBA players have come out. There's been NFL players that have talked about it. Um, Vincent Jackson, we don't really know what happened with him, NFL player, but there's rumors of alcoholism and possible CTE situations that have
Yeah,
happened
like
with him.
Junior Seau, man. Like
Junior
Junior Seau is
Seau,
like, oh my
right?
gosh, dude. And then like, yeah,
Let
it's
let
just
me ask let me ask you this: do you think that your transformation and your skill set and the tools that you had in your toolbox that allowed you to see the light, because everybody has the light, they don't see it, was that because of your personality type, which is a type A, or was it because of how you learned to grind as a professional athlete, and those same grinding skills allowed you to apply that to heal and to go through that transformation?
yeah, these are great questions, man. I didn't know what to expect. I love this, man, because it goes deeper other than just the surface level stuff of talking
Yeah.
to a professional athlete.
You're listening to an interview with Shea Hillenbrand, who will discuss his foundation called Against All Odds next, right here in the Sports Deli with Hootie Hoot.
So my nonprofit foundation is called Against All
Against
Odds.
All Odds, yeah.
So that's that against all odds.
It's
Like
awesome.
I survived against all odds. Like I always had the mindset, just give me a 0.5% of a chance. That's all I need and I'll find a way to get it done. But I like with my wife, like I know it's 100% divine. I know the Lord, God brought my wife to me. Like that's my belief. Like it's crazy. Like you can't explain how she's with me. Like you couldn't sit on paper like, oh, I see how that is. You can't explain it. Like her dad, when we first met, was like, are you seriously gonna have to take care of him too? Like this now you got 2 young kids, and so I use that to drive me
Right.
rather than saying, screw you, future father in law or whatever. I use that. Like, he has this perception of me. I want to prove him wrong. I want to prove everybody else wrong. I want to be able to position because I know we all know deep down what's inside there. We just don't know how to get to it. So I always had a loving heart, a servant's heart. I always had like loving people, but it never came across that way. So my passion fueled that anger, that passion fueled that pain, and that instead of now that passion is
Right.
fueling love. So
Yeah.
it's just and then that's heightened too. Like you master those skill sets, you have to play at that level every single night
Yeah.
and hit in front of 40,000 people and have success. If not, you're not going to have a job. So yes, those skills are heightened. You need OCD. You need all that stuff that they say that these kids are trying to take it out of kids, like in school. You need that ADHD or whatever the hell they label it. Like I probably had the whole A to Z.
You and me
Like
both.
every successful person has that. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of knowing how to hone that in and put an environment to where you could utilize that as an advantage rather than allowing people of influence, people in a position of power to try to take it away. Like my son's like that too. He's like a baby goat. Like he could never go from point A to point B in a straight line. They ask him to go to the chalkboard or dry erase board. He's
Right.
twisting and turning and pencil and kicking and like Noah, just go straight to the board. All right, Dad. But he's going to be super successful. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's not even my kid, but you think he'd be my
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah. Have you reached out to the people that you hurt in your past as a baseball player, or even off the field, and asked for their forgiveness?
I've never talked to John Gibbons. I got his phone number about 3 or 4 years ago, and I think that was prematurely just to try to maybe heal, to try to. I think it might have been to be quite honest with you, I think it might have been like a self-serving thing to do. So I got his phone number, but then I lost it. That thing after, I was traded to Toronto
Yeah.
from Arizona. So the first batting practice on the field that we had with the Red Sox in Boston, uh, what's his name? The GM, Theo Epstein.
Theo Epstein. Yeah.
That's just by my past life, dude. I don't even care
That's
about
right.
baseball anymore.
Good.
So
That's a good thing.
I went up to him on the field and I said, you know what, so you know what, dude, I apologize for this and that, whatever. Like, and he's like, don't worry about it, dude. No big deal. And I said, no, I am worried about it because that's my character. That's just how I am as a person. I wanted to apologize to you. And he says, no problem. I turned around and said, yeah, you're a little just kidding. No, no, but the only person I ever had the only person I feel, there might be a couple more if I think deeper, was to reconcile that relationship with my father. And I did that. And that's probably my biggest accomplishment of doing that. And my wife made me do it. It was so much pain and driven between us that my wife, Kristen's like, she's like, nope, we're going to go do it. Nope, we're going to go do it. Nope, we're going to go do it. And my oldest brother didn't do it. He didn't even talk to my family. And my dad passed away. He didn't even show up to the funeral, any of that stuff. And it's like, now, the only reason I bring that up is like, he has to live with that, right? Yeah. So you have to live with that as a person, knowing that inside. And that's kind of a sucky thing to live with, man.
Yeah, totally. I watched the Emmy award-winning Against All Odds, and it was great. It was moving. They did a phenomenal job with it, and you were great. So tell everybody about Joss.
Oh wow, yeah, that's awesome, man. So, and I totally forgot about that. I have a good buddy up in Vancouver, Canada, that does a baseball academy for the kids up there. They come down to the States for baseball tournaments. They come down to Arizona for like a spring training experience because they got to get out of the snow. And then they go to Las Vegas during the same, I think Veterans Day or something like that, some holiday to be able to let the kids play. It's a great experience and all that. But Josh showed up and I didn't even know, a new crop of kids. And the mom's like, can you please talk to my son? I need you to talk to my son. I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way, man. Like, I need to get to know your son. I need to get to know, establish a relationship. If you think I'm going to make any impact on your son's life, it doesn't work that way. Like, we got to figure out and let this stuff just work out. So we're there for the whole week. Josh had challenges with his weight. He's not wasn't supposed to be really obese. You could tell that it was something to deal with a mindset that he had. So they're the 11 and 12-year-olds. That's my favorite group of kids to coach because they ride and dive through emotions. That they ground out at first. They're crying, going back to the dugout. They're like, and it's like, dude, it's all right, bro. Let's go, dude. So these kids are the most amazing kids. So I'm going tomorrow to Mexico to help the kids down there because the kids in Canada, they're like the second class. They're so polite. They're so nice. They're like the umpire will strike three. They're like, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's right. Thank you.
It's like, dude, you need to have a voice. You guys need to go out there and have this competitive. You're gonna get crushed if you don't do that. So it's like I called them the team zippers. Said, hey guys, if a coach comes up to you and says anything to you that you don't like, just tell them to zip it, right? And they're like, Coach, we can't say that. And I said, better yet, if you get called out on a strike with the umpire, or if he calls a strike that you think's a ball, just turn around the umpire and tell him to zip it. I know they wouldn't do it, but they're like, no, Coach, we can't do it. So long story short, at the end of the week, the only person they were telling to zip it was me. They'll come running off the field, they have a nice play, and I was like, great job, Johnny. And he's like, zip it, Coach. And I was like, how'd that feel? He's like, wow, that felt amazing. So they're getting their confidence, all that stuff.
That's awesome.
So it was all the way down to the last day. And this is the coolest story ever. And I need to share this. I need to put a little documentary together because it's a cool story. So the last day, they're getting ready to go on their vans to go to the airport. We're at the baseball field. And I said, Josh, come over here. So we were on the field by ourselves. And all the other team members and coaches were on the vans getting ready to go to the airport. And I came over to him. I said, Josh, I didn't even know what I was going to say. This all got downloaded. I said, you don't feel like you fit in here, do you? And he's like, no. And he just started busting up, bawling, crying. And I'm like, oh, snap. I just screwed this kid up.
Wow.
And I was like, wait. You don't feel like you fit in because of your weight, right? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, but that's not true. You don't fit in because you're a leader. I could see it in your eyes, son. I says, you've been here to lead, not to follow. And you keep trying to do something that you're not created to do. So you need to stop. You need to change that mindset. and understand that like you don't need to try to fit in over here because you've created to be your own, all that stuff, right? And then he's like he can't even like breathe. He's bawling so much. Like he let me in though, and that was the
Wow.
coolest thing when that happened, right? When when your clients let you in like that, it's like, okay, now I know how to navigate this space. So the next thing that came, he was like, you don't fit in at school, do you? And he just lost it again. He's like, no. And I'm like, you get bullied, do you? Yeah, I get bullied. And I'm like, well, what do you say to the kids that bully you at school? Because he's a little bit overweight, great kid, really nice. He says, I just tell him to stop it, and that's not nice. And I was like, how about if you just tell him to zip it? And he's like, it sparks something in him because it's not like shut up or screw you or punch you in the face. It's like, dude, zip it. And it's unique. And he's like, wow, maybe I can say that. Equipping him with something for a situation to get in, to have an option rather than spiraling out of control, to reconfirm those limited beliefs, to send you down to all that stuff we talk about, right?
Totally.
And I said, even more, Josh, when you're at home laying in bed at night, what do you think you could do? When you have those negative thoughts going through your mind over and over, saying that you're overweight, saying you're no good, saying you're not as good as the other kids, all that stuff. And you go to the pantry and you get those bag of Oreos and you go there and you eat those Oreos all night long. You eat those Oreos, right, Josh? And he's like, how'd you know? I was like, don't worry about that. But what happens is, what do you think you could tell yourself? It doesn't matter what the other kids tell you that are bullying. What do you think you could tell yourself? Interpretation, communication to yourself is the most important thing, that anything that we can do. Take control of that and rock that. And that could be changed, all of us. And I said, what do you think you could tell yourself when you're telling yourself all these bad things about yourself? He said, zip it. Like, yeah. And what's
That's
cool,
awesome.
Josh, is you're gonna correlate the zip it to me. And I put my arm around him and I looked him straight in the eyes and I said, Josh, you're going to correlate it to me, a 2-time Major League Baseball All-Star, saying that I believe in you and you could do it and you could rock it, man, because I love you. And
that's so cool.
He just left. And
He just left.
I'm trying to speed up the story. He's like,
no, it's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah, got it now. I figured out
coach.
I figured out the solution to life. Thanks, man.
So he left. They left and went on their way. And about a month later, his mom called me and she's like, what the hell did you say to my son? I was like, nothing provocative. I didn't use foul language. I didn't talk about girls. I'm thinking of all these things because I was thinking I'm like, did I say something to him? She's like, whatever you said, just changed his life. And 3 months after that, they were coming down to Arizona for another experience. And at that time in Las Vegas, Josh, he played first base. He had a very difficult time catching the baseball. He didn't get a hit. He just struggled because all of that's the confidence. All that's just going through that stuff. So long story short, he lost 25 pounds on his own
So
in
cool.
back home. And then he told his mom, he said, Mom, I want to go to Arizona to play in the tournament, the spring training tournament that I was telling you about. First one's in Vegas, second one's in Arizona. And his mom called the head guy, my friend Marty, and said, Marty, Josh would like to come on the roster because there's so many people. And Marty is like, just to be 100% honest with you, because that's what I love about Canadians, is that he said, Josh is more than welcome to come, but he's probably not going to play because of and he didn't say it, but it's because of his performance. And you don't want to take up, off roster spots, whatever. It's just kind of like a big thing. They paid $3,500, big investment, all that stuff. And his mom, Josh's mom, Deborah, told Josh that. And he says, I don't care if I play. I just want to go see Shea. So he came down. He walked into the field. Nobody's seen him because he lived in like a different Providence than everybody else. So they didn't really see him. He came in. They're like, who's that? Oh my gosh, is that Josh? And his self-confidence just went through the flipping roof. And he went from not even going to play. He played every game. He played every inning. He got a hit every game, like a base hit. He stole his first base ever. His mom's in the freaking stands crying. And I'm like, what happened, dude? Like this. And she's like, what can I do for you? Like, you changed my son's life. What can I do for you? And I was like, don't do anything. This is what I'm supposed to do. Just pay it forward. And my wife's like, talking to her, and she kept bugging my wife, like over the next couple of weeks, what can I do? I want to help out because there's just such gracious people up there. So my wife says, you know what you can do? We go down to Mexico and we help these kids on the streets that are in the barrio, San Rafael, outside of Puerto Penasco. They don't have any equipment. They don't have anything. And Deborah's like, I got it. We got it. So Deborah and Josh created a Glove for Love campaign with
Oh,
all the Canadian kids. It was on the local news stations. It was on
oh
the
my
local
God.
radio stations, in the newspapers. So they accumulated, I got the goosebumps, bro. They
Wow.
accumulated 8 big totes
Wow.
of baseball equipment. They
Sick.
had baseball gloves with baseballs in it for with sign like from the kids from Canada, giving words of encouragement to kids 2 countries over in Mexico,
That's
right?
crazy.
And what happened is they had baseball gear, they had catcher's gear, they had helmets, they had little pins, and they had flags and banners. And they WestJet, who was it? Yeah, the JetBlue flew it. Oh, Air Canada wouldn't help out.
Oh
Sorry,
God.
JetBlue flew everything down to Phoenix here for free, like 8 huge totes.
Wow.
And then my wife, we drove it down there. And this kid, it's crazy because you have this outcast Major League Baseball player that was one breath away from losing his life, found his identity, found his purpose, helps a kid that's being bullied. And the kid, Josh,
Right.
was being bullied. Like, not many people really paid attention to it. They just kind of like let it be. And I talked to him. So now this bullied kid in Canada that is struggling with life just impacted 350 kids' lives in
Oh.
Mexico. And these kids in Mexico were like wearing Canada flags around everywhere. Like, there's like,
That's so
yeah,
great.
Viva Canada. We love Canada.
Oh,
Yeah.
Canada.
So it's
Oh, wow.
it was really cool. So it's like playing with a purpose. I want people to understand how to play life with a purpose. We all have a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And we
Wow.
all have an understanding. We've all been given gifts and talents. And myself,
Mm.
I've been given gifts and talents that allow me to get to the major leagues and have success on top of the world. But I always thought those gifts and talents for me because I was selfish, because I was empty, because I was trying to fill that void. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Those gifts and talents that we are given are to help other people out, to help solve their problems. So
Mm.
it's
That's
crazy.
awesome.
Thank
Let me
you
ask
for letting
you.
me share that. I know it takes
Oh
some time,
man,
but
that was
it's
awesome.
that's really near and dear to my heart.
Totally. So let me ask you a question before we get to the rapid fire, the fun part of the podcast. So you have that picture behind you, and there's 3 different positions for those of you that are just listening and not watching the video podcast. So I think it's Toronto, Boston, and
Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah.
I
And so
played there when we were purple.
that's right. So tell her why do you have that and not like something from Tony Robbins or something else? Like, what is it, because you've reconciled that part of your life and you're proud of it again now, or is it just to remind you of where you were and you're never going to go back to that place again? And tell everyone what that photo represents for you now.
It's to be obviously, I don't know how not to be truthful and honest and transparent and vulnerable.
Right. Couldn't tell.
Vernon Wells Senior. So Vernon Wells Jr. played Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Made $100 million. He was
Yep.
my teammate. But his dad does these paintings. They're
Wow.
they're airbrushed. So I have it up for 2 reasons. I have it up because there's no glare on it for the camera, the lights.
That's
And then,
sick.
and then for 2, like, he did such a flippin' amazing job on it with the detail.
Wow.
Like, I'm so proud to not of me, but I'm so proud of just the detail of everything on it.
Oh my God.
It's like
That's amazing.
it's amazing. Like and that was just the 3 teams I played for at that time in my
Yeah,
career. And it's like $7,000, so it's not
Yeah,
cheap.
that's
So
amazing.
but this is like I put this in a storage unit. I put this off to the side. I would never put it up. I could never appreciate it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. I mean, I don't really care to showcase myself, but I don't know. It's just I really like the artistry of it. The painting's amazing. Like how the quality of it, all the way down to the batting gloves, and then all the major league stuff, like on my elbow pad, and the sparkles in my neck. Like, it's like perfect.
Well, it is. And those different positions that you see yourself in that painting are the different positions that you've sort of found yourself in life. And, the symbolism with that painting, maybe you never even thought about it. But to me, the first thing I thought about is just the symbolism of life and your transformation and the depth of, who you are. It's remarkable.
I love it. I love it. And then the back finally standing up. Like, it's just yeah, man.
Right.
I'm super grateful, man. If there's anything I could do for
And it's
anybody,
blue.
yeah.
It's blue,
So
right? The background's blue, representing like freedom and the sky, and that's
yeah,
that's totally cool.
yeah.
Okay, so let's get to the rapid fire, and then I'll leave the stage for you. Anything else that we didn't get to that you want to talk about? We'd love to hear
Yeah.
anything about your
So
foundations and stuff.
just
Yeah.
just a disclaimer
Yeah.
before we do the rapid fire.
Yeah.
If you see me pause and like, I have to think for a sec because I will say the first thing out of my mouth, and that might not be productive for people that are in the situation.
No, it's
from where I come from. So if you see me pause or do something, that's what I'm doing because I probably shouldn't say the first thing I say.
No, say the first thing, and then you can. We want the real with the real Shea Hillenbrand. Please stand up.
This is the real Shea Hillenbrand.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes
totally.
that old guy comes back in. It's like, yeah, just like,
who's that guy?
Did you just say that, man? Like really?
All right, I'm gonna let my co-host in. He's finishing up with his PhD stuff,
Sweet.
so we can rag on him a little bit with his fake background.
PhD boy, John, what's going on?
Not much, man. How are you?
Awesome, buddy. Did you read all those books?
Yes, and I put them in order.
Oh, Shea would appreciate that you actually put them in order and color coded them. That's impressive.
I do that with my clothes and my hangers. I have to have white hangers.
Of course.
It's yeah.
What's the background, John? What
It's a poor Mountain View Spartan background for.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. So first question. So you played with, now out of all these guys, who most impacted you, either while you were playing or now after your transformation? Was it Manny Ramirez, Pedro Martinez, David Ortiz, Kurt Schilling, Randy Johnson, Barry Bonds, Vladimir Guerrero, Wellesley, David Wells, Ricky Henderson, Nomar Garcia-Parra? Which one of those guys? Now, mind you, there's 8 potential Hall of Famers in that group that you played with. So which one of those guys do you relate to the most now, looking back on it?
Barry Bonds.
Just
100%.
simply just because of his attention to
apart.
detail?
The way he thinks. I mean, he's a Leo too, right? So
I did not know that.
Before you said him, I was going to say Manny Ramirez. I was really close to Manny Ramirez and knew him on a deeper level of understanding. And he's such an amazing human being and had a lot of challenges with being who he was. On top of that, I don't think he was equipped as well because he's probably those are the 2 best probably hitters ever, like right-handed hitter and left-handed hitter. But yeah, and same thing with Barry Bonds. I saw him on a deeper level. I saw him with a different lens because I related to him and who he was and just admired what he did. And how it's superhuman stuff. I can't even explain it.
So him and Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame?
I don't care. I don't care. I just be telling you to answer this, tell you the answer. Like, I don't care.
Got it.
There's nothing against them, but it's just like what happens is you add a guy to a Hall of Fame. Now he attaches identity even more to the game, and he doesn't do what he's been there put to do, is to utilize who he is to impact the world. So they're self-serving because you got to make the money, you got to do this stuff, and like you miss out. And it's like all they do is send autograph signings for the rest of their life.
Right, totally. Pizza or American food?
What is American food?
I like burgers, fries, just like sandwiches,
Pizza.
salads, pizza. Vacuum or dishes?
Both. I do it all.
Is it therapeutic?
No, I have a system of process to do the dishes. I have a system of process to mow the lawn, to make the bed, to do the laundry, do all that stuff. And when you put those systems and processes in place, brother, what happens is if you complete something and you find the most efficient way to do it, bam, 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 when you complete that process, you get a spike of dopamine release, and then your freaking self-confidence and your confidence goes through the roof. There's so many people out there that don't even complete anything. So how can you have self-confidence?
It's funny you talked about that because we had the very first show, we had a sports psychologist on, and he's dealt with pro athletes and kids. And he talked about doing everything especially during the pandemic when kids are depressed and it's even harder for a lot of people. Brush your teeth.
Depressed? Why are they depressed?
Well, they're inside more, they're not able to have the tools that you have to be able to go through these transformations, and they don't have people to talk to, and they're stuck.
I'm sorry, I was thinking of like athletes. I was thinking of like
not athletes necessarily, but just people in general.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. I agree with you.
Well, he talked about being the best at everything, right? Dental flossing, making your bed, starting with the little things, and that sort of builds into the bigger things. So what does your wife do in terms of household chores? Anything? Or are you responsible for it all? She cook?
I can't hear you.
Does your she's not going to listen to this, right?
Yeah,
She cook?
she's just like me. It's to quite be honest, I am so grateful that I will do everything for the rest of my flipping life so she doesn't have to do it. She works full time. She's a rock star in the financial space. She works for Wells Fargo, and she's like way better than me at what she does. And she works from home, but she helps out. But I want to make sure that she doesn't have to. She could do it, yes. Does she do it? Yes.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure I do her laundry for her. I do all that, like all the
That's
everything,
awesome.
man. Like I want to,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Like I've never seen Star Wars, man. I don't watch movies, dude. I don't watch TV.
Wow.
Like I am like, bro, one breath away. Like I'm
Yep.
on a mission to do everything I can to train myself up. All that stuff I did to get me the big leagues, I'm doing now to make myself the best dad, the best husband, and the best person for whoever I come in contact with.
That's awesome. So Field of Dreams or Bull Durham? Well, shit, you just said you never watch movies, so
I would watch Field of Dreams. It's pretty cool because in single A, I was in an All-Star game and in the, I don't know where it was, Midwest League. And then we went to actually that farm where the Field of Dreams was filmed at. I'm like,
wow.
this is all it is.
Wow.
But yeah, like, yeah. I like
Jay,
Major League. I like Major League.
So
Major League.
you
I was
ever-
going to throw that one in there
Yeah.
too.
Did you ever see? Did you ever see Bull Durham?
I've saw bits and pieces of it, but like I said, I can give two craps about it because he was that guy that never made it and the guy that I despised when I played with. So I was like, dude, zip it. I'm gonna whack you upside the freaking head with a trash can.
So the funniest thing is, the pictures, a lot of it is taken from Mitch Williams, back in the day. And I was in 1997. I went to spring training with the Rangers. They played in Pompano Beach. And literally, I was sitting on metal bleachers. Sitting behind me was Ruben Sierra in uniform.
That's cool.
Pete Incaviglia was the rock star on the team.
Oh my God.
It was his first year. These are all rookies. Bobby Valentine was the manager. And so I'm not making this up. Around the ninth inning, they bring Mitch Williams out. And this is his first time. His first pitch hit 60 feet up on the backstop, and everybody behind home plate ducked. I mean, it was just like the movie. I mean, I can't make it up. Like he pitched it, everyone's like, "Look out!" And like they literally, like even the catcher was like scared. Like he was throwing like, and I was behind because it was such a small place. The guy with the gun, he's throwing 99, and everybody's like, "Doesn't matter. He's gonna kill somebody." I mean, it was hysterical. And obviously,
the backstop hold his pitch.
I mean, it was his first two pitches were like 100 hitting the backstop. Then it was just, and he's this tiny little. I mean, it's not anything like it is now where they do spring training because it's big money. It was literally like a high school stadium, and you were so close. And like everybody was just sitting calm, eating their hot dog. He throws this pitch, and everybody like scatters, just flat out. Like even Ruben Sierra ran behind the. He's like, "What is?" He's like, "I'm out, man. I'm out." It's hysterical.
Shay, I told you about him, man. Wax, I told him that you'd recognize Shea Hillenbrand from 3/4 of a mile away in street clothes from the back of his head. So that's who you're dealing with, Shay. Okay, puzzles or board games?
Board games. Well, yeah, that's sure.
All right. Get ready, John. French toast, waffles, or pancakes?
Yeah. Waffles with peanut butter.
Yes. John, go ahead.
Jay, in your travels, have you come across a Waffle House in your days?
Yes, when I was drunk.
Exactly.
In the minor leagues.
At night.
Yeah, exactly. Minor leagues at night. Anytime.
At 5 a.m.
Okay.
When the sun's up.
Right.
And then we walked by people's plates that left them on the left their food, and they just left. We're eating their food too.
Oh my God.
That's a bit extreme.
And then we rubbed the peanut butter on our. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's messed up. So the big fan of Waffle House on this show. So that's funny.
Covered and smothered, baby.
Exactly. You know it.
That's hilarious. All right, John, you're not going to go through the All-American with him?
Okay, so the best value. So even when I travel, I search out a Waffle House, and the best value is the All-American because you get everything for like $8.25, which is like hash, eggs, little juice. No one understands why it's a little juice, but that's a whole other story. Coffee, and then the waffle. And if you ask the waitress, can you upsize it for like $1.25 more, they'll end up throwing you two waffles on the thing. And if you go late at night, the guy on the grill, he doesn't give a crap. he's got more waffle batter. He knows what to do with. You'll come back with like 6 waffles for like $10. It's the best, and you'll be there all night. It's great. And I've told
That's
him
awesome.
my dream of this podcast is to eventually take this at a booth in Waffle House closest to where the guest is, and we'll evaluate their Waffle House while doing the show.
We should do it, man. That'd be
I know.
amazing.
There is. Best player you ever played with or against? So that's
Barry
Barry.
Bonds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry or Scooby Doo?
Tom and Jerry by far.
How was it meeting Kevin Harrington?
Kevin Harrington is a cool guy, baseball guy, Cincinnati, Ohio. Really interesting to hear his story. Like his backstory, it's really cool to see how he got to where he was because he wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah, for everybody out there, he was from Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, original Shark Tank.
Original Shark Tank, yeah.
He invented the infomercial, man. Nobody knows that.
Crazy. Candy
It's
or
cool to hear
popcorn?
this- Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. What were you going to say? It's cool what?
No, it's good. Go ahead. Sorry.
Candy or popcorn at the movies?
Popcorn with butter. Boom. And Reese's Pieces.
There
And
you
a
go.
Extra large Diet Coke.
John's happy. Bungee jumping, cliff diving, or skydiving?
I've been bungee jumping and cliff diving, bungee jumping in Australia, the highest platform in the Southern Hemisphere, and it was scary as hell. And those things are so tight around your legs, it's miserable. It
God.
sucked. So
Yeah, okay, god dang it.
cliff diving probably. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't skydived.
What's harder to hide, Vaseline, sandpaper, or a corked bat?
Cork bat, without a doubt.
What's the most home runs you've hit in a row in BP?
8. I don't know.
Wow, really? That's
yeah,
impressive.
it's easy.
Who was throwing BP?
Well, I was pretty good, man. I could hit.
You got them guns, baby.
Eno Guerrero.
Wow.
Manny's personal BP guy.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. Do you have a hidden talent? Like I can put 20 quarters on my elbow like this and then let my arm go and catch the 20 quarters all at once. Do you have like a special weird talent like juggling or something?
No. Only the thing that comes to my mind is just the interaction with animals. I've taken kangaroos into like sports bars and stuff like that. So
Seriously.
so funny to see kangaroos, like drunk people is like, dude, there's a marsupial up in this bitch, man. This is amazing. I'm like, you better take a picture because tomorrow you'll be like, was there a kangaroo in that bar last night?
I feel like we're watching that. What was the movie? Oh God. What was that movie with the guys and the night after or the Hangover?
Hangover.
Yeah.
God bless America. Okay. Would you rather be invisible, be able to fly, or teleport?
Fly, without a doubt. Fly. Like it's my dream to get my pilot's license. My wife won't let me because she thinks I'm gonna die.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'd like fly.
That's cool. Describe the perfect kiss in one word.
Wet.
John's very uncomfortable right now. This is not what he enjoys. Those kind of questions. All right. What's your favorite tattoo that you have?
Against all odds.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Dinner at a sports bar or a nice restaurant with your wife?
Nice restaurant any day, dude. You'll never see me in a bar, sports bar. I never hung out with the dudes in the clubhouse. We'd win the game in Toronto, popping beers, blasting the music, and the boys would be like, hey, Hilly, you going out with us tonight? And I'm like, dude, I don't even hang out with you in here when I have to. What the hell makes you think I'm going to hang out with you out there when I don't have to? I hate all you guys.
A-holes.
Yeah, then they're like, oh, that's funny. They're like, he's like, no, I'm serious.
Oh, man. Sunflower seeds or chewing gum?
Oh, that's a hard one. Seeds.
What's your superstitions before or during games?
No such thing as superstition. No such thing at all.
Did you use 2 baths in the on-deck circle or a donut?
I use like the thick donut sleeve.
Yeah.
Right?
The
So
sleeve.
what happens is you do the same thing over and over again because when you do that, you have a specific focus on a task at hand, right? So I do the same like steps out of the dugout because like it's keeping your mind focused on what you're doing. Like Nomar Garciaparra was a freak, like all over the place, doing all that stuff, toe tapping, and like, I could go hours on what that dude would do. So what it is, it's not superstition. Like I hope I get a hit. What it is, it's calming your mind. It's lasering your focus. And what happens is you don't allow external distractions and all that stuff influences come in. So it's like you just do the same thing over and over and over again. I would always walk like left, right, left. I wouldn't step on cracks when I walked down the street. It's just like I'm just trying to keep my mind on the task at hand. So I think some people misperceive that as superstitions, but it's not. It's just like instead of my mind being all over the place, I'm having to do it on what I'm doing right here.
It's like you and Rafa in tennis, or John when he played college basketball at the free throw line, having his ritual, right, John?
Yep. Two triples.
Two triples.
And I thought it was in a Waffle House too.
There we go. That was after the game.
Exactly. Okay. Would you be more interested in knowing the answer to how many golf balls would it take to fill up a bus, or why do manholes have round covers?
How many golf balls it would take to fill up a bus? That'd be pretty cool.
You want to know the answer?
Yes.
660,000.
Well, what size of bus though?
Like a regular school bus, like when you were a kid.
I thought it was a short one.
Not the short one. Not the that would be 330,000.
That's awesome.
Would you rather be smacked in the face with a fish or farted on?
Farted on. Don't hit me. I'll snap.
John, what's your answer?
Smacked in the face with a fish.
Oh shit, you little bitch. All right. What's harder, winning 25 games, stealing 100 bases, or hitting 20 triples in a season?
I'd imagine 20 triples.
That's very hard.
I would agree. Did you watch A League of Their Own?
Yes.
What about Bad News Bears?
Yes.
Okay, which one of those then?
League of Their Own. I mean, they got their both thing, you know what I mean? But that's the first thing that came to my mind.
All right. 90210 or Family Matters?
Family Matters.
Wow. Urkel. Tiger Woods or Jack?
Urkel. He just died, dude, didn't he? No, not Urkel.
Was it Urkel, John?
No, it was Screech.
Screech.
Screech just died.
That's what it was.
Saved by the Bell. Saved by the Bell just died.
Saved by the Bell. Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus? I know you play golf. Do you love golf? Are you good at golf, or do you just play golf?
I play golf.
There you go.
I can't. I'd have to commit to it because I have an obsession. So my wife and I started playing golf about 5 years ago, and she's like, take the bags over to the driving range to practice, and I'll go get the balls. And she went and got 2 big, large buckets of balls. I said, who are them for? She's like, one for you, one for me. I'm like, dude, I need like 8 or 9 of them damn buckets if I want to do anything. So yeah, Tiger Woods by far. Tiger Woods.
So you're a hack like John.
Yeah.
I bet he's better.
It was a nice swing on the Emmy Award-winning short.
It's all staged, man.
Yeah, but it was a nice swing. I was very impressed
house,
with you,
bro.
I hit the house. Okay, okay? Let me ask you this: Seinfeld, Friends, Cheers, or The Office?
Neither. I haven't watched any of them.
Yeah, I'm watching them. Okay, and then what's your love language? Acts of service, physical touch, words of affirmation, receiving gifts, or quality time?
First book my wife and I read, what it is words of affirmation and physical touch by far.
I love it. Okay, last question. Okay, so you're batting cleanup.
You get people like answering these questions and like know what you're talking about, because I feel like I'm pretty good. Like
you're pretty good. Yeah, I mean,
not about Waffle House and freaking fish in the face, but I'm talking about like these deep ones, because you don't really expect too many people to understand that.
Well, I don't ask that one. These are I specifically ask questions based on our guests.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you're batting cleanup. Would you have me or John batting third, or me or John batting fifth?
I'd rather you guys bat third to give you a chance, because they'll pitch to you because they won't want to pitch to me. So if you're batting fifth, no, honestly, this is like how the game goes. I mean, It would be stupid if it was. And then if you guys batted fifth behind me, they wouldn't pitch to me. So I dealt with that. I hit in front of Barry Bonds, and I was like, and we were in Chicago, Wrigley, and like it's the third game of the series, and I struck out like 7 times already, and I struck out like 15 times this season, but I just sucked. So it's my third at bat, third game of the series. Barry Bonds, the on deck circle is like right there in front of you. You can see it off to your eye when you step out of the batter's box. He's got his hand on his bat with his legs crossed, hand on his hip, and I just proceed to strike out again. The end of inning. So I'm playing first base. Barry's playing left field. He gets my glove. He comes and hits me on my chest, my glove. He's like, you got to be the most stupid motherfucker I've ever played with in my life. And I'm like, all right, dude, like, cool. And we were close. And I'm like, that's pretty good. That dude's playing with a lot of people, man. He's like, don't you understand? You got the best motherfucker hitter in baseball hitting behind you. Don't you realize, who do you think that pug ass pitcher would want to face? Your sorry ass or me? I was like, you're right. And he's like, just wait, they'll give you a pitch to hit, man, because they don't want to face me.
Right.
So my last at bat, I listened to him, and I hit a game-winning home run. Crossing home plate, and Barry's like, "See, I told you." It's awesome, man. I love it. It's just like, that's how I am. In your face, give me the truth. Now I know how to navigate. Let's figure it out. Don't hit me in the face with the fish. I'll tear your head off, man.
John, you got that?
Yes.
All right, man. It's been great sharing space with you, bro. I'm glad we hooked up. Any last words of wisdom? You know, you have hopefully you inspired me. You know, I mean, before even coming on today, I've listened to you several times in those spaces on Clubhouse, and I hope you continue to do that and everything else that you're doing, because it's truly a remarkable story. You know, hopefully you get the book going, and you know, just stay in your lane, man, because it's a great lane now.
I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Like that's like a great accomplishment, and I received that, and I could never receive that before. And obviously, like you should know your values, so it shouldn't matter what other people say. But I see that just two things. Like I always tell everybody I work with or everybody I come across is like, answer the two questions. Like write it down. Like who are you at the core? Actually, three things. Who are you at the core? Why are you doing what you're doing? And then what's that story that you're telling yourself? If you can kind of like sit there and kind of like analyze that, or kind of like, you know, to pay attention to it and journal it or jog it, I'm telling you, man, like we've all been put here for a purpose. We've all been put here for a reason. So many people don't ever fulfill it, and it breaks my flipping heart. My mom is 73 years old, and she's never done what she's been put here to do. You know, it's like so many people are in complacency and mediocrity, and it just kills me, man, because I was that person that was average. I wasn't that big talent. I was a 2-time All-Star third baseman. I have no clue how to field a ground ball. I don't know how to field a ground ball. I suck. But I knew how to implement the process in the system. And if you push past that threshold, then you can achieve anything you want. The mind, the potential, human potential, the mind is unlimited. And so many people don't do anything with that. Who are you, man? Don't give up. You're one breath away. So many people are one breath away from giving up. But we need to switch that mindset and say, dude, you're one breath away from a breakthrough, because a breakthrough happens in a moment of time. It doesn't take a week, a month, a year, 10 years. It could happen in a moment of time with having a shift in your mindset, having a different perspective of what you're doing. Don't give up. And if you need anything, reach out, because there's people out here that will help you out. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, much love, man. Best of luck to you and the family. Stay healthy, mask up, and keep doing what you're doing, man. It's awesome. And get your mom to do whatever she wants to do on her bucket list.
Maserati, man. So that's like my new.
Oh my God.
It's crazy, dude, because she's like the most simple person ever. And like she's watching these Korean dramas, and she's eating like bowls of noodles at night and watching subtitles. And she's like, all these guys are handsome. And she's like, I'm like, Mom, what is wrong with you, man? Like, that's what happens when you're married for 52 years, right? And then she's like, oh, they drive these Maseratis on there. And I like the way they rumble and the way they look. And I'm like, what are you talking about right now? So that's what's driving me. I want to buy my mom a Maserati, man.
Oh my God.
Drive to Waffle House and get a waffle.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to stay in touch, and let us know if you need anything, and keep up the amazing work, brother.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Nice to meet you, John, and good luck.
Nice to meet you.
I'm here, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Later, brother. All right. Much love, man. Peace.
I got to head out. I'll talk to you later.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Yep.
All right. Later. Much thanks to Shea Hillenbrand. So inspiring and motivating, and love sharing space with him. Again, you can always send us an email to thesportsdeli@gmail.com. You can DM us on Instagram @MikeHootner or on Twitter @MichaelHootner. For Dr. J, I am Hootie Hoot. Until next time, please mask up, and remember, Black Lives Matter. Peace.